That's a bollocks position. The stern gland is leaking from the shaft end, so it's like a drip, 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 drip. I think I can fix it in place, so we're going back onto the hard and then we'll get to work on that straight away. Shit. Cast your minds back to January of this year, we did a really thorough clean of our dinghy. It was absolutely filthy after tootling around various places in the Med for 2 years. A great big clean was done, it looked fantastic, and then of course it sat on the ground here underneath ABC since then, and it's got a little bit more dirty. So before we clean the dinghy, we're going to put our 50 meters of rope back into the anchor locker, our 50 meters of chain back into the anchor locker, and the anchor back on the bow.
And I've just attached a leading line to help get the end of the rope up to the bow roller.
You're happy with that, are you?
As good as it's going to get, isn't it?
It really is as good as it's going to get, really, yeah. When we get to Turkey, we'll have some chaps made for it.
If you like the original colour of your dinghy and you're going to be in a boatyard for any length of time, get a cover.
Yeah. Okay, so let us break for lunch.
Oh yeah.
And what we'll do is we'll check our work list and tick off a few things, I reckon.
I think we've got a lot to tick off actually.
Cool.
I don't think we've got a lot left, and I think most of that can be done in Turkey, to be honest.
Yay! Good morning, peeps. It's Saturday morning and we're up relatively early to try and get this job done while it's still relatively cool. I know I keep saying that in a lot of videos, but the heat here is for real. What we've done is we've put a masking tape stripe around the waterline of the boat, and it's already got 3 coats of anti-foul on the hull and the keel. What we're going to do now is we're going to do a 4th coat of anti-foul just around the waterline, because that's where we get a lot of growth. Obviously that's the main area for growth. So we're going to do that. We're going to put another coat onto the keel and the rudder, just because we can, because we've got paint left. And also Harris has said that we can actually drop a couple of these stands because he's overstanded it in case we had any high winds. He showed me the stands that we can drop where we can paint underneath the stands, and again that's just going to buy us a little bit of time when we come to splash day, which is at the moment still scheduled for Tuesday morning. So yeah, I'm getting very excited at the moment. Alright, let's paint something. Okay. After 8 months of sitting on the hard, and we're just now, what, maybe 24, 36 hours away from being splashed back into the water, I think it's a good time to check the lighting system on the outside of the boat, which is quite an important feature if we want other ships and vessels to be able to see us and understand our intentions. So the first thing we're going to switch on are our navigation lights, and if we come out into the cockpit, and there is our white stern light. That's working good. Now let's go forward, and we can probably see already that our port and starboard navigation lights are on, red and green, but let's just check their intensity. Starboard, port. That's a good start. Now here's a contentious one, our steaming light. As far as we know it doesn't work, so let's switch it on and have a look-see. Yeah, as we look up the mast we can see that we have no steaming light. But we don't have any plans to motor at night, so it shouldn't be an issue. But let's switch our anchor light on and see if we've got one of those. That's very important. I'm not sure if this camera's going to pick it up, but as I stand here at the bow hanging off a couple of lines,
and leaning over the side, I can actually see there is light up there, so that does mean we do have an anchor light, so that's good. Deck floodlights, usually kind of important if you want to be doing stuff on the deck in the dark, so let's check those out. Oh yes, definitely working. Now the foredeck is very much floodlit, and of course you can see there that our cockpit entertainment lights are on, so we're all good for entertaining. It's Sunday morning and things are going to plan. We've got Evangelis here just getting the trailer ready to be slid underneath the hull of ABC. Then we can take all the hard stand props away, and then we can start anti-fouling under where the props have been, and I can finally get underneath the two parts of the keel that have been sitting on the blocks and get those ground down, because there's a lot of shellfish growth on there. Then we can prime it, then we can anti-foul it, and then we've got 2 days to complete the anti-fouling and the keel, and then we splash around about 6 o'clock on Tuesday morning. So as I said, things are at the moment going to plan.
Los. Bobby's ready. Hello.
Now that we've got our beautiful lady loaded up on the sled or trailer, we are able to get around and do all the patches of anti-foul that were underneath the hard stand props, and also I put a first coat of primer underneath the keel where it was resting on the wooden blocks. So it's now just a question of time, waiting for each layer to dry, and then we apply another layer and another layer, as many as we can in the time that we've got given to us, because Harris has said that he really wants to try and splash us into the water at around about 6 AM on Tuesday morning. So really, if we can get another coat of anti-foul on before darkness tonight, and maybe even a second coat of primer on the underneath of the keel before darkness tonight, then that will give us a whole day then to put maybe another third layer on the hull, and hopefully get at least 2, maybe 3 layers of anti-foul underneath the keel bulb. So that's where we're at. We're moving forward. I told you it was going to be a race to the finish line.
The babies have discovered food. This is the last time that we'll see the boatyard cats, because after this I'll say goodbye and then we're leaving, and lovely Ilko is going to feed them.
We hope.
We hope he will. That's good to see that they're all healthy and eating. And Bobby is hoping to get something.
Yes, but
He's not. So bye-bye. Bye-bye.
This big yellow beast is in position, ready to push our lovely lady back into the water. It's all happening tomorrow, Tuesday morning at 6 AM. Yes, 6 o'clock silly hour. So we've done all the anti-fouling. We've loaded up with 600 litres of fresh water. We've got most of the things inside stowed away in ship-shape fashion, and all that remains to be done now is to have a little bit of a drinky poos on deck with one of the guys in the boatyard who's bringing over some sparkling wine as a little bit of a celebration. And if we do get up a little bit early tomorrow, we'll try and get a third and final coat of the anti-foul underneath the keel bulb. So there she is. Even at this position in the yard right next to the gate, we've still got shore power and we've still got access to fresh water. So whatever we use fresh water tonight, we will top off tomorrow. So we do leave with exactly 600 litres of fresh, and we head out there and turn right. Well, it's departure day, and the guys are here at the yard. It's probably around about 6:15 now. The wind, strangely enough, is up, and normally at this time of the morning there's no wind at all. So Harris is a bit concerned about the wind. It is blowing offshore for us, so it would be blowing us off the trailer when we do decide to launch. Bit nervous, well, a lot nervous really. You know, we haven't been in the water for 8.5 months, and also, you know, we've done jobs that are below the waterline, so I just want to know that we've got no leaks when we do get back in the water. And you know, obviously I tightened up everything and checked it twice, but you still think, you know, what if I put it in the water and the stern gland's leaking or something like that. Still connected to shore power. That's the last thing to be disconnected. Then we'll fire up the systems and we'll get back into the water. So yes, just a question of sitting and waiting until Harris feels that the wind has dropped sufficiently. Well, we've just put the outboard engine onto the transom of the dinghy and hooked up the fuel tank and squeezed the bulb that squeezes fuel through to the system, and there's this fuel leaking out of the outboard cowling. So taking the cowling off, and it looks like the gasket on the carburetor has deteriorated over time. So it's too early to call the mechanic in Limney town at the moment. So Harris is going to call him at 8 o'clock, which probably Harris is quite happy about, because the wind and water seems to be getting a little bit worse.
Yeah, it's too windy. The waves are really quite strong.
Yeah. So yeah, so it's just deteriorated over time, and obviously we didn't check it before today. So we'll wait and see at 8 o'clock what the mechanic can do. And yeah, so we're just sitting in a holding pattern at the moment. I mean, if the weather doesn't clear up, then you know, we could be here for another night and a half.
Yeah, it depends on the weather. But I mean, obviously we don't want Harris to try and put us in the water if it's dangerous for him, because he's the one that has to swim around and
under the boat.
Yeah.
So,
but you know, if we hadn't had this delay, we might not have noticed the fuel leak. So we've got to get that fixed, because the dinghy's the car, you know.
We'll update you as soon as we know something. Well, Harris, the boatyard owner, has just taken me and the outboard engine into Limney to the guy who fixes outboard engines, and he took one look at it and said, yep, the gasket is gone. He said the whole job will take about 3 hours. He's got to remove the exhaust system to remove the carburetor and replace the gasket. But the thing is, he's an authorised Mercury technician, so he services a lot of them. Where the exhaust attaches to the main engine block, there's a gasket there that has to be replaced, and of course that means we need to order a gasket kit, and that gasket kit must come from Athens, and he said it can take anything up to 3 days to get the kit couriered from Athens to Limney, and we all know about couriers. So you know, there's potentially 3 days where we are stuck basically, and of course we're now kind of first in the queue, and a lot of other people in the yard want to go, and we're I mean, we could be moved to another position in the yard, but I think they want to use this sled as well. So it's a bit of an unknown yet whether we will go in the water today. It still looks a bit rough, so Harris is not happy about that. We might go in the water tomorrow. If so, then we'll have to duck into the harbour port little at Limney. We've just driven past that and there is a space there for us. So yeah, it's an unknown at the moment. So that's the latest update. You can hear the sound of the waves crashing onto the pebbly shore here behind me, and the conditions are better than yesterday. The wind has dropped somewhat, the waves are smaller, and Harris seems to be quite happy this morning that we can safely launch. So today is Wednesday, I'm trying to think. I think it might be Wednesday, could be Thursday. It's probably Wednesday. So we're going to launch today, so time to prep the boat. Alright, we are going. We are now being reversed back out of the boatyard to the shoreline, and have to say I'm very nervous. Just hope that everything down below is watertight. We will of course check before they release us from the sled. This seems so surreal. It's really weird. It's like after 8.5 months cutting an umbilical cord to water and electricity and toilet and shower facilities, back to self-survival and self-sufficiency. So Ancha's at the bow, ready to release the line that's holding us tight onto the trailer. Okay, I think we're now chocked on this trailer, and now the tractor will go back into the yard and bring out the really long skinny arm and connect that to the trailer, and then we'll finally be in the water. And go around and check all the through holes, and most importantly burp that stern gland and make sure there's no water coming through there. I've watched them launch boats, I don't know, maybe a dozen times or more, so I know basically what's going on at the front, but I just can't see. I don't have any visual from here. Ancha's on the bow with tears. Yes. Alright, lift up, chocks away, we're going in. There's a sound I haven't heard for a long time, the slap of a wave against the stern. Okay, right, let's check inside. Alright, well, that's a excuse my French, bollocks position. The stern gland is leaking from the shaft end, so it's like a drip, 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 drip. I think I can fix it in place. Yeah, so we're going back onto the hard, and then we'll get to work on that straight away. Shit. Well, I've just put an extra piece of rubber in between the collar and the rubber stern gland, and we'll go back in the water and see if that holds. If not, and it's still leaking, there is a plan B using this stuff, because it's leaking from the back end of the collar of the stern gland, so there's actually no rotating propeller at that point. So I would be able to pack this stuff into the holes, if any, and just make a seal around there using this stuff. This will work while it's wet, so that's plan B, because we don't have any other plans. Just got to wait for Ancha to get back from the loo, then we'll get the tractor hooked up to us again and give it a second go. Alright, let's try part 2. My stomach is in absolute knots.
Talk about splashes interrupt us.
that's a huge relief. Thinking too much about the stern gland. I burnt the stern gland, I heard the air hiss out of it and then felt water coming out, so that's good. There's no leak from the other end of the stern gland now, but thinking about the stern gland too much, I completely forgot to open the frigging seacock for the raw water intake for the engine, but that's open now and we've got heaps of water coming out of the exhaust. All systems are on. We have a GPS fix. And she's just taken the lines off at the front. Rudder is dead straight. Our only part of debris is over off the starboard.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye bye, Harris, thank you. Bye bye, boatyard. Next week in Sailing ABC, we spend a couple of nights at Limney Town Harbour waiting for the outboard to be repaired before island hopping in a southeasterly direction towards Turkey. If you've enjoyed this video, give us a big thumbs up, and if you haven't already, subscribe and ding that bell so that you get notified of future videos. See you next time on Sailing ABC.